Hello, and welcome to The W. My name is John Priddy, and I'm your host. Golden Age is a short documentary by Academy Award-nominated director Ben Proudfoot. The film follows the life and journey to healing of Abe Camacho. Joining me today is Katherine Leary Alsdorf. She is the founding director for the Center of Faith and Work at Redeemer Presbyterian Church here in New York City. She is also the author of the book Every Good Endeavor with Tim Keller, and now consults churches around the world to help them equip people for faithful work. And we are so happy to have her with us on The W. Katherine, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, John. It is a pleasure to be doing this with you.
Tell us what you see in this film.
Yeah, I watched this film and I see a remarkable man who has gone through a lot. And late in his life, he seems to have a pretty dramatic change in how he thinks about work. I think now he actually views it as work that it's good for his soul.
So work that is good for our soul. That's maybe a little different way of thinking about things. Can you unpack that a little bit for us?
The reason that's so is that God made us to work. God made us in his own image. He made us as image bearers in this earth. And God was a worker. He created it, but then when he made us, he invited us to continue on with his work of creating, his work of cultivating, his work of stewarding the resources in his world. So when you look at it that way, you say, well, work has to be good. God made us to work. Okay,
so then I look at Abe, and he is on this track to retirement, right? So, and what does that mean? Retirement we're both baby boomers, and we've had this message throughout our lives that there's going to be the good life. If you just work really hard, at some point you can have whatever you want. You can golf. Abe's golfing and doing all these things. Then this trauma happens in his life. After that, when he could retire, he chooses to go a different way. Why would a person make that choice?
Yeah, obviously he could have gone to play golf, but he chose to go back to work. So something significant happened there. It's important for us to realize that this whole concept of retirement is a fairly recent concept. And I'm not really sure it's that healthy for us. For me, I say there's still some thorns and thistles in it. Sometimes it's still hard, but it's good for my soul. I was made to work.
And I think of the life's work where there are skills and all these things you learn, and then wisdom comes into play. And I could even envision Abe, teaching the next generation about work. And so how do you see this sort of conglomeration of all of your gifts, all of your skills, all of the things that you have built, and then just the wisdom that comes with that in the workplace in the Golden Age?
So if we look at Abe's story, it's not just that work was good for him, the antidote or healing for him, but in God's eyes, his work is actually making a difference in the world out there. And that's what he saw when he was filling a need. He was a project director. He was helping teams run more smoothly. I think he was even bringing out the dignity of the other people on the team that he was working with. He gave meaning within his workplace, but even beyond that, the projects that they were managing out there in the world were providing goodness to some community. They were bringing some amount of flourishing. They were helping the world run better. And so it's not just that our work is good for us, it's good for God's world, it's good for the economy. So he was working as God's hands and feet as he was working out there in the world, helping the shalom, the flourishing of some part of God's world.
So you say shalom, and I think of that as just such a great word. So it's not even a word, it's more than a word. Talk a little bit about shalom in our work.
Shalom is really the word for returning to that plan of God's where all his men and women that he created are working together harmoniously to cultivate things out of the resources he left on this earth.
The thing that I think is the most interesting is as we look at the Golden Age, Abe's story, maybe our story, how come we get it wrong so often? How come our work, life, faith integration, and the desire for a shalom economy, why do we get so confused about all of this, and why don't we get it right?
Of course, God wants us to enjoy the world that he's put us in. Recreation is part of what we're supposed to be doing day in and day out, year in and year out, not just at the end of 65 or whatever that retirement age might be. And when we take away the work that we're made to do and only play, something deep is missing in our lives. And once we see our work as something we're doing unto God, we're doing it as because he made us and made us to do it, then work changes. It has a different kind of purpose and meaning, and it can be right there in Ecclesiastes as a gift from God, just like the ability to eat and drink and be merry.
Well, Katherine, I think that's a great way to finish our time together. And I can't thank you enough for being with us on the W.
Thank you. It has been a lot of fun to do this with you. Thanks.
And thank you, audience, for joining us on the W. Until next time.